We're back. Banks versus Davis. We were off. Technically, we were on last week, but it was pre-recorded. Uh, we were all busy last weekend. A lot was going on. But we're back live. Thank y'all for tuning in. As always, that's Banks. I'm Davis. There's a lot to talk about this week as opposed to last week because that's why we taped in advance. But since last Sunday, everything has happened. Before the Super Bowl, the WrestleMania conference in Vegas happened, and you and we'd been talking about that for a few weeks, for a few days, because the fallout for that and what happened this past Friday was interesting of itself in terms of The Rock, the real Rock, as he said, the one that was deep down inside is back. And he never left. This is a guy who's playing politics in the Fast and Furious franchise, in the DC extended universe. So for him to come back and do what he's been doing in Hollywood as a wrestler, which basically it's what he was doing in wrestling prior to his departure. Brock Lesnar talks about this in his book, where when Brock Lesnar was champ in 2003, he was supposed to lose a house show match to The Rock in Miami. And he wasn't aware of that until the day of. And he had stayed with The Rock for a few days. And when asked why he had to do the job, they're like, it's Miami, it's The Rock's hometown. It's just a house show. No one's going to care. But Brock Lesnar's like, why can't you just tell me straight up instead of the last minute? Like, why play these games? And he had heard Dwayne on the phone with Vince, and everyone was just like, it's not that big a deal. But The Rock wanted his win back from SummerSlam 2002. This guy has always played politics since 2001, I'd say. I think he knew that was his time to really leverage his hand, because he was great at doing the job to Stone Cold, doing the job to Triple H. Famously, he knew that he was Ric Flair in terms of like a loss still makes me look good, because at the end of the day, I can sell myself. Wins and losses don't affect me too much, but at the end of the day, wins still matter, because that's the whole point of wrestling, is you still need to win to look good in the eyes of the fans. And that's why I always get mad when people are like, it's fake, it's, it's not realistic, blah, blah, blah. But to see him come back, and the press conference itself, Banks did, I want you to talk about how badly this was, just in terms of everyone on stage trying to sell this as a big moment. And then it all went awry when Cody Rhodes stepped on the scene.
Well, before we get to that, thank y'all for being here. Should we play them the new intro before we even continue?
Yeah, this is something I've worked on. It's still a work in progress, but yeah, hopefully this
intro.
Give me the fucking mic.
Give me the fucking mic. All right, that was amazing.
I thought what encapsulates this pod is a mixture of wrestling, movies, obviously Fast and the Furious, video games. I'm gonna let you talk about some video games in the next week, because I know that's your main passion. But no, again, The Rock on the press conference pointing to his family tree. Cody Rhodes comes out. He's like, "This is all bullshit." And then Roman Reigns is
that's what he said.
Yeah. And then Roman Reigns is like, you lost already, which is factual. The whole it was close to the Stone Cold Mike Tyson. You ruined it. Damn it, you ruined it. Like what they were trying to go for. But Cody Rhodes says, I'll give Cody Rhodes credit when he did the "Where's Jay?" That was a good line. And then, ooh. And then The Rock has to come in and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. His blood is my blood. I'm like, not really. If you do the Mari DNA test, it's not going to be you are related. It's going to be the complete opposite. This is Keyshawn Johnson familial ties. But still, he said his ancestors are my ancestors. I'm like, nope, not even a little bit. Nope. So your dad is black. His mom is white. So if we want to get real. But it was a great moment just in terms of to see, Dwayne Johnson maybe slap Cody Rhodes, not The Rock slap Cody Rhodes, because I couldn't tell if that was called for or not. What do you think?
I think it was more so a combination. Well, first of all, it got over. Let's just say that. So if we want to start when people were confused, of course it's an audible. Some we'll talk about later on as it relates to audible 49er Chiefs. So as it relates to that, it's just you could tell it's an audible. You could tell that this is all not part of the plan, but it worked out because people outside of wrestling are talking about it now.
Yeah, I think the thing that we long speculated over the last 2 weeks, we talked about this with Antonio, then we talked about the next day, which was last week's episode, is the options. Are they really going to go through this? Do they do the tag match? Do they say fuck it and have Roman Reigns face both? But again, my argument is like, so you set all this up for Cody and you still have him lose. That's always my sticking point with this whole thing is like, Cody has to win now. Otherwise, everything you've been doing doesn't make any sense. Like, he has to beat Roman Reigns. Otherwise, your booking of forcing The Rock to join the bloodline, it's all for nothing. Like, the whole point of The Rock coming back is, in my mind, was he was supposed to tear apart the bloodline because of what it did to the family, quote unquote. Like, you push your own family out. I'm going to end this because I'm the real head of the table, blah, blah, blah. Like, he was spitting. And then he comes back on Friday, with the Versace, the Versace vest. I'm going to let you speak on it because I know you enjoyed this. I'm going to let you have your ISO right here.
Always. You shut your mouth, fatty. The Rock will come out there and slap the herpes off your lips.
And then Usher was just rollerblading at the Super Bowl. What was he there for? I mean,
bruh. So we want to talk about this segment. This is a segment of the year. You know how they say cinema? Hey, it was cinema.
Okay. All right. First of all, give me back the ball. Give me back the.
Hold on. It was a Richard Pryor movie. Cinema. It was just comedy, but it was so over the top comedy that you gotta laugh at it because it's bad, but it's good at the same time.
Okay.
It's a bad movie, just like his career for the most part. But now we're seeing it in the ring, bro. And then, first of all, quote of the year: 600 inbred grandkids. Dog, that's not Disney.
He's not the Disney man anymore. He hasn't been. I mean, with the exception of Moana. True.
But they doing the live action, and number 2 is coming out this year.
Yeah, he's coming back to return as the voice, and then actually play the I think it's Maui, the character in the live action Moana, which is funny because he's gonna have to put on a wig, and that's gonna look amazing with him wearing a Troy Polamalu wig. I mean, his Scorpion King wig was already outrageous, but still, this is a whole nother level when that live action Moana comes out. But yeah, I agree with what you said. This was not good. I think people knew it wasn't good, but liked that it was a callback. This isn't John Cena in 2012 putting on the throwback and calling out The Rock like as the doctor of economics. This wasn't that in terms of reaching back into the time machine and being the real version of yourself. This was a guy who plan A isn't working, so plan B is to do this. And since he hasn't done this in a long time, it's not working right away. Maybe in the next few weeks it'll get better, but so far it's very forced. And I think he's just out of practice of being this guy. And first of all, Brian Gewirtz, his writing has always been meh as of late. Whenever The Rock comes back, his writing for The Rock is always It's just cheap pops. Again, the catchphrases, like I always say, he gets the crowd to chant something they would never chant, and corny lines that worked 20 years ago that don't work now.
It works now because you don't expect him to say it now. Now, he said it day one, but it was like, hey, you still Dwayne. Now you're seeing, somebody said it's the mixture of the corporate. I'm not going this far. It's a corporate rock mixed with Hollywood rock. I don't think it's that. I think it's literally him being young rock, or older rock, I should say, just in this iteration of it. So if you've seen the Young Rock like I have, which I'm not proud of, it's very corny acting. This is just him being corny, but it's hilarious. Right now it is.
First of all, I think that idea of corporate / Hollywood would have worked, given that where he's at in Hollywood, he is trying to be very corporate with his production team and then joining the board. So that would make much more sense for him to come out in the glasses he's wearing. The Labs fan said, like, all of a sudden he just starts wearing spectacles as of late. Where did this fucking come from? Like, this guy has never worn glasses. Like, I know, the redacted McMahon, his signature look was the glasses on the bridge of the nose. Is The Rock trying to reclaim that, repurpose that so for his own deeds of like the guy on the board who wears the glasses? Because I think Triple H might do the same. I think all these guys do the glasses, the look I copy, the I'm sophisticated, I'm artsy fartsy, let me put on a pair of glasses when I don't need them, just to seem like they're special and the guy in charge. But him doing that versus putting on the Versace and the sunglasses indoors, everyone kept saying he's, Super Saiyan Ricky Starks, but like everyone knows Ricky Starks is the one that was influenced by the original Rock.
They said what again?
That this is what Ricky Starks would look like if he, hit the gas, did the juice.
Wait, but they said Super Saiyan Ricky Starks?
No, I made it. Someone might have. I'm not trying to say someone did, but that's what I'm saying.
Whoever made it up, I'm writing that down. All right, that might be the title.
I came up with that just now, but I wouldn't be surprised. Again, we all think the same on Twitter. We'll have a discussion in a few weeks where everyone says the same thing on Twitter. Quit getting mad when people do the same shit because you're part of the
algorithms. Not on my algorithms. All I see is a four-eyed bastard named B-Dot on my timeline all the time.
But I mean, the line, like you said, about the 50 wives, the inbred children, the herpes. I mean, he called them fat. He was playing the Rocky hits. He was doing the shtick that worked back in the day, but to me, it doesn't work now because it's just like, oh, that you're going for broke. You got nothing in the tank. He thought he'd come back, get this good guy return like he did that night in San Diego, but then by fucking up Cody Rhodes' story, which is still the stupidest thing to say in wrestling, I just can't believe like this is the reality that we're in. And it's all these Cody fans' fault that we are where we are.
Hey, again, you see what I've been quoting lately. This is why the businesses that it's in today, because of bullshit like this. Like, dude, I'm seeing this finish the story. I mean, it's working again. I can't be mad because it's working. But I see this finish the story bullshit at all the time, everywhere. But I do like what The Rock said. He said, first of all, he took a shot at the 49ers, which is crazy considering that team.
We'll get to that.
And his cousin's team, his Buzzin's team. That's crazy on its own. But the main thing I took from that was he's basically Ric Flair in 09 in TNA.
That's all this is. Ric Flair in 2010, as we've been talking about with sending each other these clips, was cooking. He was actually, he was the one cooking, not The Rock, because when he tells McFoley,
no, but you know what it is,
Clark Kent and the Superman, The Rock hasn't had anything like that yet to get a genuine, like everyone was saying on the timeline, this is corny, this is what y'all wanted to see, and those are the Cody fans. But again, these are the people who in the last 2 years wanted The Rock back to face Roman. At the same time, that's where I get mad about the hypocrisy and the way people contradict themselves. Whereas someone like me who will say the truth, which is this guy hasn't had it. We know he hasn't had it. And Hollywood knows he doesn't have it. That's why he's back in wrestling.
It's that, and we can get into that whole people weren't a fan 2 years ago, but then when he came to the E, they became a fan. I don't even need to talk about that. I'll talk about that later if he goes over. I hope he don't go over because I don't care. I never did care about Cody Rhodes. I care about Roman Reigns, balls, but it don't matter to me. My whole thing is you can't sit up there and try to get a job on Twitter because you're saying, oh, this is great storytelling. Wait, y'all was just bitching and complaining 2 weeks ago when all this happened. When it seemed like he wasn't going to be able to finish his quote-unquote story. So now it's great because The Rock is just playing the hits. Okay.
But is it the hits? He didn't even do Poo Tang Pie, Lay It This, like he didn't even do the catchphrases. He just did the finally and then old quips that worked 20 years ago. I mean, the whole point of the John Cena feud was John Cena saying like, and CM Punk too, the CM Punk feud that they had was, you've said the same stuff that worked back then. It doesn't work on someone like me who does this day in and day out. And I think that's why the Cody Rhodes stuff was kind of working at the press conference when he said your family would be ashamed. When you take it to that level, like your grandfather and then your grandfather would be ashamed of what. And I'm like, okay, first of all, daddy's boy, let's settle down a bit, because your father would be ashamed that you bought the ticket and took the ride last year when it came to your WrestleMania story. And then you did the whole year of bullshit. And just because they don't know how to book a fucking Royal Rumble to save their lives, you get the win back. But yeah, it's, again, this is the biggest mess in wrestling, and it's shocking to say when we have AEW doing stuff that's working but then not working at the same time. But it's not to this level. But it's not to the level of as of late, where as of late, it's not to the level as it was most of last year. We're like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, AEW's in a good place where it's very simplified versus this where it's so chaotic. And like we've been saying, like, do they even know what they're doing? Like him doing the guns up, like everyone's been saying. Like I thought for a second he doesn't know how to point with just one finger. That was my theory. Like he doesn't know how to, like, you know, like people don't know how to do like the Spock hand or whatever, or how to wink. I think he can only put a one in the air if it's like this, like, because who does that?
Yeah, and then people try to make it out to be, hold on, I'll get on camera. I'm mass producing today. People work with me. So people said, oh, that means that he's going to cost Roman Reigns the loss. That's why he's doing it this way. And then if you look at him, he pointed this way to Roman Reigns when he's talking about losing. Dog, it's called a finger. If I point this motherfucker this way, that way, this way, other way, that don't mean I'm causing somebody to lose. Yo, it's not that deep. Pause. They not that smart. They're not that smart. Vince McMahon was never that smart of a booker. These people aren't Hollywood. These motherfuckers ain't, let's say, a modern day writer. These motherfuckers ain't goddamn Phil Miller. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a name right now.
Phil Lord. If you're saying the guys who wrote Spider-Verse, yeah, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who
both of them, Malik Vincent too.
One of them, well, they were both at a Clippers game. What was the Clippers game last Wednesday or Tuesday? One of them was in a full Clippers hat and jersey, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." Like
the team of LA, that's a real team.
But yeah, like you said, like this is obviously still leading towards Roman Rock. Which is why it's ridiculous. It's like they casted Jason Statham knowing damn well Jason Statham was going to team up in Fast and Furious, as we said during Fast Summer. And that's kind of what this is. Like things are just getting in the way, because the whole point of like them shaking hands is like The Rock's only a member of the bloodline for now. And then when this is all said and done, he's going to go after Roman Reigns for the title because that's what he thinks is going to happen. I mean, though I still haven't listened to the Seth Rollins promo about being your shield. I only saw the caption.
Don't.
No, and that's like, when these two guys get in the ring now, I can't do it. I can't put myself through it.
It's the same old shit. Like, dude, Ken responded to me what I said on Twitter. I said, enough, bro. Like, everybody been saying you on your knees, bro. Enough is enough. They don't know what they're doing with him. We already said weeks ago that title was dead. That title was dead. They might as well throw that motherfucker in the river like they did the Stone Cold Smoking Belt title. All right. It's done. And then he just like, well, you should choose me and maybe we can figure it out. Now you got to take a flight. I don't know how far Perth is from wherever they stay at, but you got to take a flight from wherever, 12-hour flight to Perth, which is in Australia, just to do Grayson Waller's show. Gee, I need to re-up my contract.
I mean, first of all, the man can't wrestle. Again, he's got a knee. He's got a hooked knee.
We'll go home. I don't understand. Like, am I taking crazy pills, bro? I might start that segment too.
Am I taking crazy pills? No, I think I do want you to have segments like that.
Oh yeah, no. Pardon the banks. Yeah, it's up. Trust me, it's up. We about to be in the studio. It's up. But it's just like, dude, just go home, bro. And this coming from somebody that don't like to be at home, but I ain't got a family either, so I can do that.
I don't want to cast aspersions, but I don't know if if that family was my family, I don't think I'd want to be home either. Because the Becky Lynch promo on Monday, I listened to that. It was horrible. She's hold on. Everyone, if you've got a drink, if you've got food, or just put your hand in the air, because we are toasting to the last few weeks of Rhea Ripley as champion. And then Rhea Ripley comes out, and then Nia Jax comes out, and then Becky Lynch is just in a corner with, I don't know if it was a regular lemonade or like a fucking margarita or whatever, but like she's in the corner taking the worst sip, and then Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley bump into her and she spills it. I'm like, is this the fucking Three Stooges? Like they just like spill drinks on themselves for a laugh as they fight. I'm like, who is writing this shit? I say that every week at this point because I'm like, did you think that was a good idea for the man to spill a drink on themselves after they get what?
So 2 things. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. I want to talk about 3 things. Number 1, I want to talk about this. Ken, I love your state. I love the women in your state. You stop being disrespectful to D Rose. I don't do D Rose jokes and I don't do Tupac jokes. I love you, Ken, but them 2 jokes, you get heat with me. Them 2 people you talk about, and Davis as well. You don't talk about Davis. Number 2, yeah, it's very much so the Three Stooges. You got Triple H and all his minions going around. Hey yo, Mo, boy, this is what we should do with the writing. And then number 3, I don't care what Nia Jax is doing. I'm just glad she's there. Let's move on.
Okay. We'll let you have again. The real part of the banks is the Jada Parker segment at the end of the show. I think we'll just call that. Who let the dogs out? That's what we'll call that segment. Woo, 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 woo.
Gee, everybody's
hey, yo.
Bro, she been with the company for like a year or 2 now.
Well, she was injured, wasn't she?
But it don't matter. She's been with the company for a minute.
I just mean like, right. yeah, she was either injured or like I think Shawn Michaels knew what he had and just was also like, train, do the actual like the prize pony, like shh, girl, shh, in due time. Like I think he knew what he had with Tiffany Stratton, a few other women, like let them get their shine and then reload.
Brother, that's the saddle I want to ride on multiple times. All right,
giddy up, like
yeah, couple times, bro.
All right,
hey, but no, go ahead.
No, you're right to say
about her.
No, but you're right saying like the Grayson Waller segment is because they cannot have Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins on the biggest show in Australia. And again, genius that Vince McMahon was to avoid the world when they are the World Wrestling Entertainment. And now they have these big shows all over the world. Fucking genius he was, senile old fuck.
Again, all right, so you going on timeout. I'm sorry to cut you off, brother. You going on timeout. I don't do D-Rose slander. Y'all think I'm joking. No, go ahead. I'm dead serious. I don't do D-Rose and Tupac slander.
The D-Rose, all right, first of all, had D-Rose stayed healthy, do you think they actually would have won a title? Yes or no?
Hell no.
Exactly.
I love you, Vin, but you got to go on timeout, brother. I don't do D-Rose slander. I'm telling y'all, I'm dead serious.
And I don't mean, like, I mean that if that first injury doesn't happen, do they ever win a title? I don't think, based off what we saw the rest of the decade, where LeBron James beat every team in the East, no matter how close the Bulls got. Again, look how close the fucking Pacers got. I don't think it never would have happened.
But he's the only one that made D Wade and LeBron were like, oh shit, this is serious. But then they start locking them down after game
George
1.
And Lance Stevenson. I mean,
but yeah,
D-Wade was like Lance Stevenson's a what? Who is this guy?
But look, with D Rose, because you didn't expect a 6'2" point guard to be out here because he had no jump shot. All he had was a bunch of layups and dunks. But it worked so well because it was the Marshawn Lynch run through a motherfucking face.
Yeah.
So he just did that. Like you could visually see LeBron stressed out in that game 1. But then after that, they just switched on defense and kept locking them down. And that's what happened. But the thing with Paul George is 6'9". He's a 6'9" shooting guard, basically.
Yeah. But I mean, for the rest of it, because we'll finish this point real quick, is that Jimmy Butler became Jimmy Butler because D Rose got injured. Who knows if he still has that same type of career if D Rose is healthy when those minutes are being taken up by other players, because it's one of those things where, like, do you get one without the other? I don't think you get Jimmy Butler as we know him today without D Rose getting injured. He's still, he would still be a good contributing player, but not to the extent that he is now. I think the hole of the hole that was opened because D Rose was injured is why we got the Jimmy Butler we all know today.
Right. I mean, that team would have worked out well, but at the same time, you got Coach Tibbs, who he got a 6-man roster. You about to see right now.
They would have lost.
You're gonna play 45 minutes on the 6-man roster. That's it.
But yeah, I mean, but again, they were starting Keith Bogans at shooting guard, so maybe Jimmy Butler still would have contributed more than Keith Bogans. Yeah, right. Oh my god, yeah.
And then
we'll talk about the NBA a little bit later too. But
should we?
Yeah, but we want to finish this Rock point real quick before going on to the other big topics. But yeah, I mean, he comes out to Alabama, and then he comes out in Utah. Why is he trying to win the Republican states? Again, is this presidential run for real? Like, he doesn't want to go. They're going to be in San Jose, I think, next Monday. Is he going to show up then? I mean, he might, because he showed up in San Diego, but still, it's like the two states where you wouldn't think The Rock to show up in, he shows up in.
It's a blue state. He ain't showing up in no blue state, bro, because they're going to be in Anaheim tomorrow for Raw. Obviously, he's not on Raw, but they're going to be in Anaheim tomorrow. And then this Friday, I don't know where they're going to be at, or they'll be overseas by that time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They'll be overseas. I mean, it doesn't matter if they tape in the show. No.
That's the thing. Like all the lines, like
they'll come back. He got to remember
them. Just write them on his wrist.
No, he ain't doing that no more because, bro, John Cena been apologizing for 12 years about that. He's still apologizing. It's 2024. It's like, all right, bro, we get it. You bodied him and you felt bad about it.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason he apologized, because, like, again, the man was almost good. I mean, I don't think John Cena would have backed down from that fight.
Also, hold on. Also, he know who's the cash cow. Well, besides Chris Pratt.
Oh, you mean
the cash cow in Hollywood? So he's
not, but he's not.
He by default he's number 2.
Look what happened to Black Adam. Again, Chris Pratt is doing animated films. Come on. Chris Pratt is on Prime Video doing live action shit because the box office got sick of. I mean, granted, Jurassic World Dominion made money. We didn't even talk about, because it happened while we were on break, was the Jurassic World parks.
We didn't really take a break.
Well, we pre-recorded last week's episode, so anything that dropped news-wise last week we weren't able to cover, which was David Leitch was hired to direct the new Jurassic World movie. And then he left the project days later, and I'm glad, because I'm a big fan of David Leitch's work. I didn't want to see him trapped working with these fucking dinosaurs. So,
but they trying to keep it a secret too. Like, what other plot can you go with? The dinosaur exists. Hooray!
But they hire a guy whose strength is hand-to-hand combat. Are you gonna have dinosaurs squaring up and doing kicks? I mean, one, that would be amazing to see T-Rex arms go, like
it's got to be that, because the thing that had me rolling, always go back to Fast and the Furious. People was like, you know what? Maybe they about to make the multiverse with Fast and the Furious, or the crossover with Fast and the Furious and Jurassic Park. Because at this point, it's like, they hired a hand-to-hand combat person, so it's like, are they about to make like Transformers mixed with Jurassic Park? Because they keeping the plot under wraps for a 30-plus-year-old movie. We know what the plot is.
It's dinosaurs. Something goes wrong. Like everyone says, like every Jurassic Park or World movie is, the dinosaurs get loose. Oh no, what did we do? But there's a good dinosaur to help us. And that's why I just didn't really care about those movies or dinosaurs in general, because, I mean, they provide scary and intense moments, but overall, it's not my interest. And congrats to David Leitch for abandoning that project. But you want to get to the Super Bowl now? Okay, all right. So
No,
the Super Bowl,
I was like, I had to think about it because people were upset because it was like, why am I watching a teaser for a trailer that I have to watch online? And it's like, dude, that's where we at right now. $1.5 million ad campaign just to let you know, go to the site, which is on YouTube, so we can get the hits, so we can try to get some of this money back.
And like I said, to buy time on the Super Bowl is expensive as fuck. So you can't buy 2 full minutes because that's going to bankrupt you for your budgeting of that quarter. And regardless, the intrigue of 30 seconds is going to have a lot more people interested to go see the full trailer versus them seeing the full trailer. And that's why this year sucked commercial wise, because days before the Super Bowl, there was a story in like almost every big publication, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Deadline, where there weren't going to be as many big movie trailers this year because a lot of the writer strike kind of an actor strike paused production on a lot of big movies that weren't ready yet to be shown. So the movies that had trailers this year were the ones that are going to come out in the next couple months. Twisters, which I had known was in the works for a while. You were kind of like, why are they doing this? And I'm like, they don't know what else to do. Do you want to speak on Twisters, just in terms of like, is this something that you're already like fed up with when it comes to Hollywood and the films are choosing to reignite?
I forgot it was even in development. And then when they showed the teaser, I was like, oh shit, that does exist. I swear this came out like 12 years ago. It was called Geostorm. I'm just confused. Like, they showing all these natural disaster movies, and it's like, all right, cool. So what are we going to do when we talk about the Great Depression? Well, they got a movie called The Great Depression. This is when I put my tinfoil hat on. Okay. It's called The Wizard of Oz, which was made during the Great Depression. And now we in the new Great Depression, and there you go.
But yeah, Twisters was announced kind of, I think, right after Top Gun Maverick, because this was what's Glenn Powell going to do next as Hollywood's potential leading man. He had the Sydney Sweeney movie come out 2 months ago. It was around Christmas time. That's made a shit ton of money on a low budget, which has shocked people. It's had staying power at the box office because it didn't make money in its first opening weekend, but it's had repeat business, which is good because something like that they thought was going to be a success based off the people that they chose to star in that film. It was literally just, I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm going to watch it at the end of February, because the only movies I'm watching in February are, as I said a few weeks ago, are going to be Black directed, written, or starred movies that I haven't seen. We can talk about that next week, because I watched 2 movies that you've been telling me to watch for a long time now.
I never told you to watch Precious.
No, I didn't watch Precious. Nuh-uh. Lee Daniels, I don't really get into Lee Daniels. I mean, I liked Empire, but I don't get into Lee Daniels. Like,
he's a weirdo. Let's move on before I say something.
Yeah, else. He get. Isn't it always knowledge? Isn't always peace or knowledge, as I always say? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just, it's either or.
Nah, I got to send you the A through the Z's, brother. You got to go down the whole list. But knowledge born, peace, God.
Yeah, I know that, but yeah. So Glenn Powell, he was given Anyone But You. He wrote and starred in the movie Hitman, not based on the video game, but they still called it that, which is crazy. That is coming to Netflix in the next couple months with Richard Linklater. That actually looks really good. And I think he had one other big movie role that's supposed to be coming up, but Twisters was the other big project. Daisy Edgar-Jones from Normal People.
That's funny.
And Anthony Ramos from Transformers Beast Wars is also in this film. And the whole point of it is that there are 2 tornadoes happening simultaneously, hence Twisters, which is like, oh, that is kind of cool, but no, I'm good still. No, thank you.
So you mean to tell me if we get one Twister, another one, we can make a sequel to Twisters because it's Twisters. So it's like real sisters, but Twisters. So Future should make a song for that. I don't get it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the rapper Twista should have gotten involved, and that's what they should have called.
No, they shouldn't, because never mind. I don't want to be disrespectful. I like Twister, but I don't want to be disrespectful. Hey man, listen.
They should have called it Tornado. Like pronounced as such, Tornado. Like we got a
Tyler
tornado
Perry make
coming.
that. Madeira goes to Tornado. That should be the name of it. Instead of Al Qaeda, Madeira goes to Al Qaeda. She should go to Tornado, or he should go. I don't know.
The Glenn Powell, he's like the guy. He plays again the hot shot guy who chases the storm chaser type. He's like with his cowboy hat and his good looking face. He's the guy's like I chase after these twisters, and the woman's like, I can't believe you do it. And he's like, you want to try it? It's just like, oh my god, like, it's that callback to old Hollywood where they're like the leading man, the leading woman. I mean, I respect it in that aspect, but this is the second feature by Lee Isaac Chung, who did a really small film called Minari, and this is like his big Hollywood movie. And it's still weird that his big Hollywood movie is Twisters.
Hey man, fuck the Twisters. They talking about some Twisters in the comment section. You should watch Players Club.
I did.
Never seen.
I did. That's we'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about.
Oh yeah, no, that's gonna be a 2-hour podcast, bro. I could break that down like John Madden film. Because
Chicago,
yeah, masterpiece movie. Hey man, I forgot. The one that was enticed by Lisa Ray character changed my life, brother. I was a kid.
I know. I get. We'll talk about it. There are a lot of flaws in that, but you brought up Wizard of Oz. The Wicked trailer came out, and this looked like pure dog shit. This looked horrible, and much like I said before. But no. It's for the women. It's not. Kids don't know Wicked. It's a musical for grown women.
Because Hollywood is out of touch, because it's a bunch of old, white, nasty men. They think Ariana Grande is still a draw. Music-wise,
first of all, for me, that's your girl. First of all.
Love her. Love Ariana Grande. But these 9-year-olds don't know who no damn Ariana Grande is. To a certain degree.
I never cared about the Wizard of Oz. Again, I don't care about what it meant to Hollywood and it being like the first.
It don't mean nothing to Hollywood. It means to society. I'm telling you, do your research, y'all.
No, but I don't care. I don't care about what it signifies for bravery or emotion. What's the Tin Man supposed to want? Because don't the Tin Man and the Scarecrow basically want the same fucking thing?
I'm about to get nerdy because this is about the banking system. That's what I'm saying. I got the tinfoil hat on when it comes to that movie.
And again, it's much like the Rise of Skywalker. It's about identity theft. Like she steals a woman's shoes, like at the end of Rise of Skywalker, when Rey's like, when the woman's like, "What's your name?" and she's like, Rey Skywalker. It's like, that's identity theft. You are Rey Palpatine, lady. But yeah, she stole some red bottom shoes. And again, and I said this to Kiki recently. It's funny that her comments up because I'm like, the story of the Wizard of Oz is that man's the devil and women is wrong. Women are wronged because the whole point of the Wicked Witch of the West is like she's a wronged woman because this guy gaslit her. It's that like he ain't got no special powers, and she's like, I know he doesn't. But Cynthia Erivo is trying to get that EGOT. I ain't mad at her for that. Means that like they're supposed to be teenagers, and Ariana Grande again, she still looks like a teenager despite being my age, and Cynthia Erivo is a little bit older. But it's like even in a fantasy world, I don't believe they're teenagers. It's like I can't play dumb. I watch wrestling. I can't play dumb that much. It's like there's a lot of like cut the shit. All right.
What is that tweet that you sent me? What did the dude say about the lion?
Oh yeah, he said it wasn't LGBTQ enough.
No, but what word did he say?
You trying to get me out the paint? All right, you know what?
No, you ain't gonna get out the paint because he said it.
You take that shit to Random Acts if you want to do shit like that.
Hey,
we
don't say
over
it
here. Over here.
We don't say it in Random Acts. We only say only say it during May 1st through the 31st.
You take that shit to Wiretap, okay? You take that shit elsewhere. Over.
Hey, you snitching too much because I don't say it over there. Again, May 1st through the 31st, I say it at least 6 times a day.
But yeah, and Deadpool and Wolverine, you have been shitting on this movie from the beginning, and this trailer, it did nothing for you, right?
Oh no, it did. It did something
okay.
for a lot of the incels.
Okay.
What are we at now? 200 and 300 million views already? No, I mean they got bro. This is basically they color purple. You know, Deadpool is they color purple, right? All the singing and the little white boy jokes, they love this shit, bro. This basically they lean on me. This they Mr. Clark.
No, all right. This is more like, I don't know. But first of all, I thought the trailer was fine. It wasn't nothing special. Van had a good tweet where he quote tweeted someone who reacted like super hyped, and Van was like, there wasn't nothing in there to get that hyped about, and I'm like, he is right.
I'm telling you, bro, this stay passionate of Christ.
No, I know. Again, I like the first 2 Deadpool movies, especially Deadpool 2. Again, David Leitch.
Same.
And I thought this trailer worked for getting out the story, but it's weird to play hide the monster when the whole selling point of the movie is Hugh Jackman is back. To me, that didn't make any sense. Like, they treated Hugh Jackman like he was Jaws, and I'm like, we know Hugh Jackman's in this movie, so why not just show him, for fuck's sake? It's, again, these decisions in Hollywood continue to baffle me, where it's like, they gave us Aaron Stafford as fucking Pyro, which, I mean, I always liked Pyro in those 2 X-Men movies. I think I would be a pyromaniac in another universe. I'll admit that. I've always liked firepower stuff in anime stuff. Like, that's the one power I'd always want to have.
You wear a lot of red too.
Exactly. That's the case in point.
And it's not because you're from Northern California.
That is the other reason as well. But that was a bigger reveal because I was just like, oh shit, they're really doing it. So it made me think like, well, who else could they have gotten that we don't officially know about? I know everyone said
you come on. All right, let me get on camera right now because you know what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
These fucking marks, bruh. That's why I can never talk about wrestling marks, bruh. These motherfuckers want all the cameos. Oh, Beast is on fucking the movie, Sabretooth, Mystique, goddamn, Roger Rabbit. I don't care. Like, dude, this is all it is with Marvel's game to set up for this movie that shouldn't come out anyway. This is all they doing just to set it up for that. So that's why when you go to the movies, if God forbid if you do that, because this shit gonna smell, it's gonna stink up to high heaven. They're just gonna be in there just popping for all the cameos.
And I don't need cameos. Again, like the Royal Rumble, I don't need people to show up to remind me of like how good wrestling was in the past. I don't need that. And as much as everyone expected cameos from Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, like the movie worked on its own for me. Like that part where the cameos exist I enjoy that part of it, but that's not the best part of the movie at all. The best part of the movie is the musical showdown between Strange and Strange when they just have a Fantasia type of fight. Not Fantasia from The Color Purple, Fantasia, Disney Fantasia. A Fantasia fight would be an interesting type of fight.
Yeah, I got to fight for it.
I know you do, but yeah, but I still thought it worked as a trailer in just terms of like the selling point of like in trying to introduce Deadpool to the TVA and his role in the MCU now and him commenting on that. Again, it's working for me, but I think that and the Fantastic Four official casting news, long speculated that Pedro Pascal was going to play Reed Richards. Hattie Shaw, aka Vanessa Kirby, is Sue Storm. Joseph Quinn is playing Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and Eben Moss, Backrack from The Bear, is going to play Ben Grimm, the Thing. It's a good cast. I'm not super hyped about it, and they keep saying that this movie's supposed to be in the 60s, and I'm again still confused about that because are they just going to time travel or be the multiverse and show up in the modern day? So the MCU, I'm still in the bag for. Personally, I think Now, like you said with Endgame, I think it peaked for a lot of people with Endgame versus me, who like is still. I don't even think I'm getting as excited because the quality has been diminishing, and it's tough to say. I mean, I don't know. It's to me, it's a lot more. I'll just see it when it comes out type. I don't think I get as excited in terms of how I did for most of those early 20 to late 2010s movies.
Yeah, so I will say this. I am looking forward to that Fantastic Four movie just because I'm a Fantastic Four mark. Like I read the comics and everything. The idea of what they're going for, I'm not gonna get, too much wrapped around it as far as if they time travel and all that because I feel like just like with the E, they just freestyling it as far as the booking. Like, yeah, we're gonna do the they freestyling because we already got your money. You already intrigued by this.
No, they don't. The box office returns for the last few movies, just like Dwayne Johnson, proved they don't have your money anymore. They did, but now
they will now with Deadpool and Fantastic Four.
All right, over under 500 for Deadpool and Wolverine. What do you take?
$1 billion over.
Okay, all right.
Bruh, Intel's got money, bruh. It's the reason why they got money. They don't wash their ass. They ain't spending money on soap. They'll be there.
All right.
And then, as far as Fantastic Four, though, I don't see it cracking $1 billion. I think that might hit 400, 500.
And it's supposed to come out next year, and this is what pissed me off. I think that's why David Leitch left the Jurassic project, was because it's supposed to come out next summer. I'm like, that's barely a year and a half away. If anything, it's under a year and a half away. Like, you can't expect us to shoot a movie that quick, especially with effects on that level. I think that's why David Leitch was like, they're setting me up to fail with this Jurassic movie, so I'm going to bounce before I get blamed for it. And the whole point of, who knows, maybe they've been working this the whole time, and because Matt Shackman has been attached to this project for almost 2 years at this point. He did WandaVision. He did the pilot to the Monarch Legacy of Monsters show we talked about a few weeks ago, just in terms of Godzilla and Kong. That trailer, the new Godzilla Kong trailer, I'm like, God. Whew.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to be an online watch. No question.
They gave Kong like a metal fist, and I'm like, is he that much weaker than Godzilla is what we're trying to say? Like, because I know Godzilla again is supposed to be king of the monsters, but you got to give Kong a weapon in the first one, and then a fucking gauntlet on his hand for God, those movies piss me off. Those movies really piss me off.
They basically made him Roman Reigns, bro. Think about it.
Holy
he had the
shit,
little glove on.
Yeah.
He doing Superman punches. That's his go-to signature.
Except he's in the AEW universe, you know?
Yeah, and these graphics look like something out of, like a PS3 game. The CG.
But remember, when those PS3 games came out at the time, we were like, this is the future.
That movie definitely ain't it. Yeah, that's how they shooting it, Sean. They basically making it like a buddy cop movie.
Yeah. Which is, but that was the whole point of Godzilla versus Kong, is that at the end you knew they were going to fight something bigger. That's why I get so mad at these projects. Like, there's only so much there, and you got to throw humans in. And I love Brian Tyree Henry, but he's in this movie just to be like, what's happening? It's like, sir, you are an actor. But again, you need money, so I ain't mad at you.
Yeah, or it's called working actor.
Yep. But back to the Marvel point. I mean, you can check out Black Variant. X and Van do a great job of breaking this down because they read the comics, like you said yourself. And I don't try to say the behind the scenes on the Marvel stuff as much because I generally don't want to know as much going in like I used to because of how shaky it's been. I want to judge it based on seeing the work versus knowing the work going into it. Even that's a little bit tough with stuff that's come out lately. Like, it's with the Kang situation. Like, we all know why they get rid of Kang, or why we'll have a new Kang is because of everything that went on, or the whole Daredevil thing of there was an original idea and they scrapped it and brought back the hits. Like you said, they reshot an entire new Captain America movie because they're like, this movie didn't work. Which is still baffling that they choose to do shit like this. But Marvel's in a place now where I'm still, because again, I was never fully on the DCEU hype wagon, and until that James Gunn Superman movie comes out, I don't know if I'll even see the other DC projects that he announced because they all sound meh to me. But they did have the X-Men 97 show. I know this was your highlight of the week. Speak on that a little bit.
With that, yeah, I'm excited for it. They still got the original music, the Whitney Houston "I'm Your Lady Tonight" rendition. As people have said for years, they got that on there. The anime style, American anime style, I've never been a real big fan of, but this I'm actually looking forward to. Since they announced the show, I was like, I'm tapped in. That's a show. That's a show I grew up on. So to bring it into, this iteration in this decade, I'm all for it.
Was that in your top 3 of the animated superhero cartoon shows?
Marvel has most of them. Like I know we talked about how DC does more so the animation better than Marvel. But Marvel back in the '90s had them. From Spider-Man. Spider-Man might be
Spider-Man one's
number.
my favorite. Yeah.
Yes, because you could put Spider-Man. No, Marvel might have its own category, but I will say if I got to go DC Marvel, number 1 is Batman. Spider-Man is number 2. 3 is X-Men. 4 is Iron Man. 5 is the Hulk.
Oh yeah, the Hulk one. I think I only had because this is how old you and I are. I'll be 29 next Saturday. I had
I'll say happy early birthday to Davis too as well.
I had the VHS of I think the first Hulk episode or the first 2 because that's what would happen back then. Is like they would only put 2 to 3 episodes on my VHS. I can't remember which X-Men VHS I had that I always watched. Same thing. I had the Spider-Man VHS when the Hobgoblin shows up. So I always knew the Hobgoblin more than the Green Goblin. It wasn't until years later where I got the Hobgoblin one. And then I had gotten the Daredevil crossover on VHS. That might have been one of the last VHSs they sold, which is when Daredevil showed up on the Spider-Man animated show. But that's definitely my favorite animated show. But I loved watching the X-Men one. And everyone's talking about Cyclops and all that. And again, I know I'm a cop because I'm a Cyclops defender. But the whole point of Cyclops is he is a cop. He's the leader. We can't have Wolverine lead the X-Men. He's too selfish and he's not. Again, you can't have the hothead lead the team. Storm's probably only realistic chance besides Cyclops because she's got real superpowers. Jean Grey, like everyone said, like she just faints every week, so she's unreliable.
Thanks, and then when she has a temper tantrum, everybody done.
Yeah, well, that's just like a woman. So,
all right, that wasn't me.
I'm not Kenny Smith. We'll talk about that later. But no, yeah, the whole point of like Jean Grey, like when she gets mad, she's the most powerful woman in the world. It's like who Chris Claremont or Jack, I can't remember who else created the X-Men. They were spitting when they wrote that character. They're like, but when she loses it, everything's done. Like,
yeah, she can't get back in the kitchen and heat that stove up being a Phoenix.
But I'm glad to see Gambit because Gambit was one of my favorite parts of the original animated series. I think I might have had the one when Nightcrawler debuted too, and that's when they said, and that's how I found out Nightcrawler was the son of Mystique. I was always like, oh, okay.
Yo, they should have had Ricky Starks do the voice for Gambit, yo.
He doesn't really have a Louisiana accent like that.
Are you right?
That's why it was funny when they wanted Channing Tatum to be Gambit. Remember that movie that got delayed?
Well, that might be a cameo on Deadpool just to appease the fans.
Hey, I would be hyped. I'm not gonna lie.
Apparently, they did shoot it.
I'm not gonna expect that, but if that happened because he wanted it, and I think he wanted it in the time of his life when his marriage was falling apart, because he was trying to say that this is a movie that's gonna be about relationships when being a superhero. I'm like, damn man, you are going through it. Again, Doug Liman was supposed to do that movie. Doug Liman, who did the Roadhouse reboot that we'll be talking about next month.
Thank God it didn't happen.
No, based off how that, there's an article I haven't read yet about the Roadhouse. There's like a whole behind the scene, like how they, based off just the title of the article, is that they chose to make the movie knowing it would be on Amazon Prime to have 20 more million, but Doug Liman is still pissed about it. It's like, if you made a cheaper movie, it could have gone to theaters. You wanted to make the expensive version. they put it on streaming, and I think Doug Lyman thought like if it tested well, it was still going to go to theaters, and they were just going to bite the bullet. And I think Amazon/MGM was like, nope. We made a deal's a deal, as they say in Hollywood.
Yeah, no, because you definitely for that you can't put that in the movie theater, as we'll talk about when it comes out. Just simply based on the trailer alone, it's like, dude, y'all not going to draw $1.
But the Bob Marley movie has made money, and that movie got horrible reviews. And then Madam Web got horrible reviews and is making no money, which I am not shocked about. Given how I listened to the Big Pictures podcast, my favorite movie podcast, break down Madam Web, I was like, they basically said it's a prequel movie within a prequel. And I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I still got to listen to that podcast that you sent me, because there's no way in chance I'm going to listen or I'm going to watch that movie. I did watch the Bob Marley movie, so we can talk about that next weekend if you want.
I won't watch that, but as I always tell people, again, Google exists. But remember when Moon Knight came out and everyone's like, Moon Knight's bad. I'm like, look at who wrote Moon Knight. Jeremy Slater. He wrote Fantastic Four. He wrote the did he write the Death Note adaptation? The live action one?
I think so.
And he's writing or is co-writing these Kong movies with Adam Wingard. And I'm like, when you see writers, be aware of what they've done in the past. That lets you know you're in for some bullshit. And that was the case with Madam Web, but it was the case in Morbius because it's the same two guys that wrote Morbius writing Madam Web, and they had written Gods of Egypt, which was not good. And they were two of the writers on the Power Rangers 2017 reboot, which is okay. It's not as bad as it seemed based on the trailers, but it's a Power Rangers movie in which the Power Rangers show up in the last 20 minutes.
That's crazy. A lot of people have been
talking about that movie.
Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about it the past 2 days. I'm like, did they greenlight a sequel? I highly doubt that.
It's because the two guys, Sazama and Sharpless, they have I don't want to make fun of people's names, but they have names where I'm like, whoa, they wrote on that movie. So I think their work is now in the zeitgeist again of like, what else have they done to be talked about? And I think that's kind of one of their biggest, like, this actually worked, which was their Power Rangers movie, because they did Morbius. I can't remember what they did in between that. But they're kind of Hollywood go-to hacks.
Yeah.
But there were no other trailers again. And was there a Super Bowl commercial you enjoyed, like an actual commercial? Not the Jesus being a tow boy one, as we discussed on Twitter. That was strange. Very heavy-handed, these Jesus commercials. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, Sunday in football go hand in hand, brother. I think that was first Sunday too. Oh no, that was like second Sunday of the week. But yeah. That's all it is, America. But Temu, they just ran it up.
Oh, I still don't even know what that is, to be honest.
Online site where you can get a pair of shoes, you can get some drawers, you can get a T-shirt, you can get a lava lamp, you can get a spinning rim, all for $20, but the shipping gonna be $50.
So it's Spirit?
It's legit too. It's basically the Spirit of clothing. Yeah, like you could buy stuff that you really don't need, like headphones that was cheaply made, because it all comes from China. So you can get a bunch of stuff.
Why'd you have to say it like that?
I mean, that's where it comes from. But you can get a bunch of stuff for like the low. And then the shipping it'd be like $20. And it'll take like a couple weeks to get it, but it's kind of worth it. I got to get some stuff off there myself. The first person to ever bring up Temu, I swear on everything I love, I didn't know what it was Joe. Joe from Random Acts Podcast. He was the first person to bring that to my attention. I'm like, dog, what the fuck is Temu? And since then, I've seen it nonstop. I've actually delivered some packages from them.
Damn. Well, let's get to the Super Bowl. I've been postponing it long enough. I haven't talked about it much since Sunday. I try to avoid all Super Bowl content breakdown in terms of the game. I haven't listened to We Want Winners yet, my favorite 49ers podcast. I haven't listened to Bill Simmons and Sal break it down on the Bill Simmons podcast. I've just been avoiding all the pods and articles about the game. First of all, when people are like, this is a boring game for the first two quarters, I'm like, it's enjoyable to me because the Kansas City Chiefs aren't putting points on the board, so I'm having a good time. And And then the second half happened. Well, Usher happened. And I mean, do you want to talk about Usher before we talk about the game?
Not really. He slid
Okay.
under another man's legs. Ain't nothing for me to really say.
As someone who can't rollerblade, I'm always impressed when people can do shit like he did on rollerblades. So I'll salute him to that. But
That's that Atlanta magic. I won't go any further.
keeping rollerblading alive or something else, something darker.
Yeah, it could be dark if you turn the lights off.
Okay, but the decision to not run the ball in the second half, like everyone has pointed out, is the most fair criticism of how they lost this game because the defense played Patrick Mahomes the best you can in that game. Steve Wilkes got fired. Steve Wilkes most likely would have been a one and done had they had won based on his shaky relationship with the team the entire season. He was brought in because D'Amico Ryans had left to go coach Houston, which was the smart decision for him personally. Like, look what he did with that team. And for him to take another year as defensive coordinator, he was just smart to take his opportunity when he did, which I think the Niners didn't know how to handle that in terms of like a placement within, because D'Amico Ryans was a hire within the organization after Robert Saleh left to go coach the Jets. So their plan was to bring in an outsider, and Steve Wilkes coaches one kind of defense, which is very secondary heavy, and the Niners want that front four to be heavy. So it was dueling concepts on the defense, which is why it seemed like Nick Bosa had a slow start at this at the beginning of the season. Javon Hargrave cooled off towards the end of the season, even though he had a great start to the season. And the secondary, though, had been the Niners' weakest point the past 2 years on defense. And Hufanga went out. Was it the Cincinnati game? I'm trying to remember. He had went out in the middle of the season. Him being their best safety, it created some holes in their defense that Kansas City didn't fully exploit until kind of the end of the game. Like, again, like the front four did a great job of getting to Mahomes and his scrambling ability until the fourth quarter when he turned on that Mahomes magic. This guy's for real being Pat Mahomes. I'm kind of going all over the place, but the defense did the best job they could up until the fourth quarter. And I think Kyle Shanahan, like I've said, he's an overthinker. Much like myself, he's the NFL's Kendall Roy, the chosen son who's not going to succeed. And he chose to run, I think, 2 consecutive drives with no pass. I mean, chose to pass 2 consecutive drives with no runs. And I don't know if he was trying to conserve CMC for the most important part of the game, meaning the last quarter. But there's Elijah Mitchell. There's JP Mason, who are capable backs. Elijah Mitchell had some good runs in the game. But I was just baffled by this. This hat is a Warriors World. Shout to them a hat about Kyle Shanahan. I still believe in Kyle Shanahan. He's still my favorite coach of all time, but he's the most responsible for this loss compared to the past 2 big losses. That NFC title game, Tart dropped that interception right there in the middle of the field. And then Jimmy Garoppolo was about to get sacked and threw that ball, and that's why they lost that game. And then last year when they lost to Philadelphia, if you were down 2 quarterbacks into the second quarter, you can't win that game. So last year's loss wasn't even on him or the other guys. They got snake bit with injuries at the wrong time. But this is on him, and I want you to chime in because you were the one saying run the ball, and I agree. But I think he just didn't want to burn out CMC knowing that it was going to be a real knife fight in the last quarter compared to the third quarter.
It's an old saying, and I'm not going to quote it verbatim, but you always lead the dance with the partner that you brought. Y'all got points. I mean, obviously on field goals, but for the most part, your offensive best weapon was CMC running the ball. He got like 2 passes, if I'm not mistaken, as well. But
he caught the touchdown pass from Jawan Jennings of all people. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Debo was hurt. Obviously he had that calf, if I'm not mistaken, that calf injury as well. So he wasn't 100%. It hasn't been for a while. It's like you got scared. It's like what Davis just said. There's nothing really for me to say. Obviously Michael Jordan just came through and kicked down the buildings. but it's also the fact of the matter of, dude, you just got out coached, but you didn't need. I mean, obviously,
By
Andy Reid is
himself.
one. Yeah, you start overthinking. It's like, why not just keep running the ball? Because like David just said, obviously you want to try to save CMC for the fourth quarter once it start getting to that gridlock hour. But at the same time, it's now or nothing. That's what the Super Bowl is. This ain't 2 out of 3 games. This ain't 4 out of 7 like the format is right now for the NBA. You got to go for it. If you don't go for it, then that's the end of your season. And then now it costs somebody else a job because we know they need a scapegoat. Obviously, the offensive coordinator getting fired was a scapegoat routine.
Firing Steve Wilkes, like I said, it looks like a scapegoat on paper, but knowing that the dueling systems was something that caused the defense to look dominant at the start and then kind of fall apart when teams exposed, oh, if we attack them this way, we attack them that way, that's how we can get to them. The whole sideline versus the Booth fiasco, I do believe that he should have been on the field because all the players kept saying we want this guy on the field because they just wanted a defensive coordinator who was on the field like Robert Salah was, like DeMeco Ryans was. These guys, as everyone knows, they have bravado. They have this energy to it, the way they get hyped after tackles. Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead. They needed that energy. Robert Salah has that. He gets insane on the sidelines. DeMeco Ryans the same way. He gets insane on the sidelines, especially during their time as the Niners coordinator. Steve Wilkes, he's stoic. He's emotionless. He doesn't react at all. So when he was in the booth calling plays, and yes, they went 5-0, but they lost 3 in a row. And then once he came down from the booth, they went on another winning streak. I had jokingly called him Sideline Steve in this 49ers Discord because Sideline Steve started to, pick it up again with the defense. But overall, I think the guys personally didn't mesh with him because of his demeanor. And on paper, it's a scapegoat hire. And behind the scenes, I think it's a scapegoat fire as well, is what I should say, because they hired him because they didn't have no one else to hire. They want to promote guys within the system, and he was available. He coaches defense well, but he doesn't coach their type of defense. And that's why it worked out the way it did. But like I said, it's not like the defense went 3 and out. It's not like the defense chose to pass on 3rd and 4 like Kyle Shanahan did. That was when they lost the game. People could say Dre Greenlaw getting injured. No, Dre Greenlaw had that Achilles injury before Green Bay. And if you know the 49ers or follow football, you'll know, like, on the injury report prior to the Green Bay game, he had an Achilles soreness. So it was insane. He was playing the last 2 games at the level he was. And he was the MVP of the Green Bay game. And he was the MVP of the first quarter. And much like, this is why I tweeted, like Kevin Durant in that Toronto series, you can play on that Achilles and all of a sudden it's just going to give. And it gave at the wrong time. Everyone's laughing that he gets injured walking onto the field. I'm like, no, it was fed up. It was done. Like, I don't know what it's like to have an Achilles pop like that or however it goes. But you can tell it had maxed out. He used all he could up until then.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise than that, there's nothing really else for me to elaborate on, just because I don't know. It's one of those things where I can't elaborate too much on it.
The Brock Purdy situation, like Cam Newton had said, Brock Purdy didn't play bad. He's been Brock Purdy's biggest hater. And even he said himself, he didn't play bad. He made throws at the wrong time, and then he made big Brock Purdy throws. I just think Kyle Shanahan believed in him too much at certain times, and not in the MVP runner-up, the Offensive Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey. And I don't, again, like I said, if that was to conserve CMC or to give Brock Purdy that confidence boost of, like, this game is on your shoulders too. Because my whole thing the last year and a half is that Kyle Shanahan believes in Brock Purdy way more than he ever believed in Jimmy Garoppolo, which is why he opens up the offense to him the way he does, which is why the players go to bat for Brock Purdy the way they do, that being Debo, Ayuk, George Kittle. I think they all like Jimmy, but knew that Jimmy was only going to get you to a certain point versus Brock Purdy's willingness to play riskier football Again, the Kansas City defense. I'm not just saying like Kyle Shanahan. He did outcoach himself in terms of the plays he were calling, but that secondary was locking Debo down, was locking Ayuk down, George Kittle. Granted, all right, everyone's making fun of the George Kittle play of him not getting to the fumble, but he already thought it was a dead ball. I'm not just trying to do this and defend George Kittle, but like that's the George Kittle thing. You bought the ticket with George Kittle, you get the quirky personality with him.
Right.
And him
WWE
not knowing
appearances, everything.
Yeah, and him not knowing it was a live ball still was just again in the heat. It's the Super Bowl in the heat of the moment. Let's not forget Cam Newton didn't dive on the fumble in that game. That ball was on the ground, and he was like, "Nope."
You wouldn't either if that defense was coming after you.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it just goes to the point where like they settled for field goals. They played cowardly in a game where you can't play cowardly. He needed a little bit of that Dan Campbell at certain times of like, fuck it. I'm a man. I can do this. Like, and the biggest example was the 3rd and 4. They pass it instead of running it. And then they kick the field goal because the pass was just like, boom, hit the ground. Like I said, that Kansas City defense on the Chris Jones was a wrecker, all of it. So kudos to those guys, but they just settled for field goals in a game where you can't settle for field goals because Pat Mahomes, the only reason I think they settled for a field goal to force overtime is because they were like, we're going to win anyway. What'd you think of that? Like, I think they could have kind of won the game if they chose to in the 4th quarter.
It was a game of chess. I actually liked it. I know a lot of people said it was, well, not a lot of people, but people that don't know shit about football, it was sound was boring. It was great for me because I'm a defense guy. So with me, I enjoyed the game. Towards that second, third quarter, I want to say third quarter, when the 49ers couldn't really get that lead that they need, it was like, all right, we seen this movie before. I know what's about to happen. Now, I didn't expect it to go to OT. I'm thinking like, all right, cool. The Chiefs is going to go on a run. Obviously, you got the best defense in the NFL being the 49ers, so that couldn't happen just like that. But I thought, that might happen. But then when they got to OT, I was like, well, this is it. I actually fell asleep when they got to OT because I was like, all right, I knew what was about to happen. I've seen this movie all too familiar.
Yeah.
Woke up like 30 minutes later and the Chiefs won a championship. That's all I could really say. Like, I don't have a lot because, I could break down X's and O's just like you and others. It's like, dude, you just got a juggernaut offense. Not even a juggernaut offense. This is their worst offense. That's the whole thing of the season.
Yeah.
Nobody expected them to even make it this far. Because we're thinking like, all right, this is his worst offense he's had, Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid in probably ever. And they still got to the Super Bowl and won it. And it's like, how do you make this up? Like, I've always played, the fanatical way of thinking when it comes to sports at times, like the what if factor, like Disney. And I said, what if Pat Mahomes was on this 49ers team? This 49ers team that they have now. Dog, he might win 6 championships like in the next 2 years. But to have 3, and if he wouldn't win against that man, which made it, he would have had 4 by now. 4 at 28 years old is insane.
The way he played, like I said, he showed up in winning time. And Ahmad Rashad said it best in that 30 for 30, where it's what you do in winning time that matters. In winning time, the Niners didn't show up. Pat Mahomes did because the receivers didn't even have that bad of a game. I think there were like 2 to 3 drops, but he made that big, I think it was a 3rd down throw where they went all the way up the field. Again, there was a CMC fumble on the first drive, but then Kansas City had their own fumble after halftime. It was a real back and forth game, and that's why it was entertaining. It was intense, just in terms of the pressure again, like to force OT like they did and to march down the field. I mean, but Pacheco was getting stopped. But Kansas City kept finding a way. The Travis Kelce thing did piss me off, the yelling at Andy Reid thing, because shout out to Big Tim. He said it best. If a black player did that to their coach, the media would not stop. Again, it would be like Draymond Green treatment on this guy's a menace. Look what he does. But because Travis Kelce did it, it's okay. Which is always my beef with the Kelces is that they can get away with fucking murder. We'll see it happen. Watch.
If that was AB, they would have beheaded him on the
field. Mm-hmm. Would you have taken the ball first, like the 49ers did? Because that's the ultimate decision at the end of the day. If you're in that scenario, what are you doing?
You got to take the ball first. Pause. You got to get the score. It's just who you're going against in this offense. Like, yo, I have to score by any means on every single play if I can. Anytime we get the ball, let's just score because it showed. They played the defenses, the offense game like it's in the 80s. That's why I liked it. But then they couldn't get a score on them, and they played their game. And you don't want to play, a shootout with the Chiefs because you're gonna lose. Ironically, they call the Chiefs, so I guess in this case, the Indians might have been the 49ers.
Oh, they were gonna say tribal chief type. They're gonna take it that
far. They was already mad anyway. So in that show, that's what I'm saying again for their cousin. I'm sorry, they buzzing to say what he said. I know they was heated about that. Out of everything else, use the 49ers. Of course, you're gonna use the Bulls because that's a great analogy. Also, by the way, if you from Utah and you hear, thank you, but fuck Utah.
I know why. Kyle Shanahan's reason was we wanted the ball third, which is, like I said, overthinking to the highest level. He knows they're going to score, so we want to be the one to score last. But wouldn't they just treat it like college where it's until one team doesn't score? That's the whole point of the new overtime, right? Each team has a chance to score. So his reasoning, like I said, is like he knows Kansas City's going to score.
Right.
And I thought it was smarter to take the ball first to give the defense rest because the defense was just on the field.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you put those guys back on the field right away, Kansas City's going to score immediately based on how they picked them apart in what it was a minute and a half.
Yeah.
To set up that field goal. And like I said, the only reason they did it was to settle for the field goal in terms of winning the game. Because I almost think they could have won the game in regulation before overtime. But again, you settle for a field goal knowing a touchdown is needed because these guys aren't going to settle for a field goal. I think Andy Reid came out and said like they were not going to kick a field goal. They were going to try to go, and I think even said they were going to try to go for two if the Niners had scored a touchdown, which would have been fucking crazy if the game came down to a 2-point conversion. But I think it's just that mindset. As much as I love Kyle Shanahan and I defend him, I think he blew this game for them. I know they said like he blew the Atlanta New England game. He's not personally responsible for the first. That's crazy to say not first Kansas City Super Bowl loss. Because again, losing to the same team, the same guy is insane. But his reasoning is just, I feel bad for him because he's this great regular season coach, great scheme coach. Look at what he's able to do with the players he has. Again, to make Brock Purdy someone, to make Raheem Mostert someone. Again, to make George Kittle somebody. The way that they've scouted players has worked out. And that's why the whole Brandon Ayuk think of like, will Brandon Ayuk leave? I'm like, I mean, if they know better, they're going to have to pay Brandon Ayuk. And I know B-Dot's trying to say that they'll cut bait with Debo, but Debo's an integral part of that offense, much like CMC is, which is why you could tell when Debo went out in the Green Bay game, they didn't know what the fuck to do. Because any game where Debo goes out, the offense doesn't know how to rebound from that. They're like, shit. Even with CMC and George Kittle and Ayuk, they're like, what do we do? Because these wide receiver jet sweeps and his ability as a wide receiver too, not just the wide back stuff, is an integral part of the team. And I think what pisses me off about Shanahan is like he never has plan B and C. He comes into that game with this plan and this plan alone. So, and there was the whole point, like the Niners thought they were going to win when they scored first. Kyle Juszczyk had said he didn't know the overtime rules when clearly the referee was saying the overtime rules on the headset to everyone in the arena. And that's an Ivy League guy.
Too,
go ahead.
Not to cut you off, the other players were like, we didn't know about the rules. We don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Which is, again, you're an Ivy League guy and you don't know that. college education, folks. It's overrated.
Very.
But yeah, it was just, I think, I still can't tell if that's the worst loss the Niners have suffered that I've seen as a fan, because the Kyle Williams game was bad. I remember being very upset about that. That was one of the few times I did the get out of my room, mom moments. Just because I had been a Niner fan for almost 6 years at that point. And we'd never gotten that close before. All the stuff I had to endure, we'd never gotten to an NFC title game. And just to see them lose because it bounced off a guy's leg. And that's the other thing, that punt return where it bounced off the Niners' leg and Ray McLeod couldn't receive it. And that's why Kansas City got the ball again. And they scored on the next play because there were some breaks in the game that the Niners couldn't capitalize on, and Kansas City could at the end of the day. Like that, they kind of Pat Mahomes' interception that never happens, and they did nothing with it on the next drive. It's like, you can't do that. You got to make the most of these opportunities. And like you said, because it's one game. There is no tomorrow, to quote the late great Carl Weathers.
Hey, there is no tomorrow. That's the perfect way to say it.
Yeah, and I don't think Kyle Shanahan comes into it with that mindset. I think Dan Campbell does, and that's why they lost. But I think Kyle Shanahan's thing is just a little bit of like the way I am personally, like, okay, give me a minute, I'm gonna figure it out. Give me a minute, I'm gonna figure it out. Okay, this. And I think the minute he calls something, he's like, fuck, that's not the right decision.
Yeah, it's the indecisiveness, and then the problem is he's not going against, an interim coach. He's going against Andy Reid, so it's like it doesn't work out in his favor. You can't be indecisive going against Andy Reid because he's like,
Andy Reid was the same. Andy Reid's like, I was you in my past life. Remember Kyrie and KD? In my past life, I was you. So, based on how it worked, Andy Reid was in an NFC East team and had to jump to the AFC West. Kyle Shanahan's in an NFC West team. So is he going to win the Super Bowl in Buffalo, or is he going to win the Super Bowl in Miami at this point?
He might have to, but they already there, man.
New England? I'm just like if they're going to have mirrored type of careers. But yeah, I mean, and again, it's Mahomes choosing to run at the right moments terrified me because he didn't want to run at all. Well, I mean, they stopped him. That seemed like these guys were able to track him down, Armstead and Bosa. They were able to catch him right as he broke the line of scrimmage. But then in the fourth quarter and overtime, he had these two big runs. I'm like, that's it. It's over when this guy gets out the pocket like that, because he might not be the fastest, but he knows how to run.
Right. He's a great route runner.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to Chris Brown. He gets to root for this guy. He gets to see this team have their moment because they are now the team of the NFL. It's great, you said, to playing that many Super Bowls and AFC title games. He's almost about to pass Joe Montana with one more playoff win. He's about to pass Joe Montana, even though he's down the Super Bowl, but still, that's how much this guy's won. It also shows how the playoffs were back then, because you only really had to win 2 playoff games to get to the Super Bowl, versus 3 like the Chiefs had to do this year. But it sucks because again, like I said, the whole time he didn't even make that many crazy throws. Travis Kelce, he had a better second half, which was pissing me off with the Taylor Swift of it all. Tony Romo can't call a game anymore. That's insane. He was horrible.
You want to get back on that field, that's why. Yeah,
but he's got to learn from Jerry West. I can't do it no more.
It's still crazy, the fact of him becoming color commentary. It's like, where was this when you was playing with us, yo? Pause. Where were you?
No. I think he could do it. The body was just gone already.
Yeah, well, the body went fast, and he still got another $100 million. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think CBS is also going to cut bait with that $100 million. So.
I'm talking about when he played for the Cowboys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the football money, color commentary money is pretty good too. So that just lets you know everything you need to know.
But I mean, again, the last time the Niners won the Super Bowl was January of 1995. I was born the next month. So So I've never seen a Super Bowl win. Maybe that's my own doing. Maybe. First of all, you're a grown man. You saw. I mean, you probably didn't see, but they were alive when you were alive when they won the Super Bowl last. So.
Yeah, I think I remember a little bit though.
Yeah, but yeah, you haven't seen it like a grown man, as we discussed with Antonio when he saw the Kobe titles for the Lakers. But yeah, it's. I mean, again, and next September, just sign up for it all again. I hate it. I hate it.
That's how the rest of the league feels.
I do think there might be some. I do think there might be some Kaepernick karma. I'm not wrong about that because I do truly believe they fucked him over, and I never liked that. I never agreed with that, how they did him in terms of releasing him during the height of his protesting. So there might be some karma on that. They might have to bring him back in to make good karma wise. But also I think just Kyle Shanahan, he has that just born to lose. And I hate saying that. I think at this point it just shows.
I wonder what his dad be saying to him.
I don't think his dad's an asshole about it, but I think his dad just knows like it's a tough job. It's a tough job.
That's the problem. He need to say, you fucking up the lineage, bro.
I mean, but look at how many other coaches' sons are doing. I mean, Bill Belichick's son is not like he's a great coach. No, because at least Doc Rivers won a title. Granted, he had the best team to win it with, but as we said a few weeks ago, especially with CJ, like he had better teams and still couldn't win. But he already had a title, so it didn't matter. It just showed he was a one-time guy. I mean, George Karl doesn't have any fucking titles, and look at him. Better
and he's fuck. A prick. Yeah, he's a prick too.
Like so, this loss sucked. I said probably the worst loss because of what happened after is still that NFC title game against Seattle, because to lose in that fashion and then Richard Sherman to cut the promo he did, it's probably the worst loss I've ever seen. Still, I hated that. That was a true, like, I hate this man. I still hate him. Even when he played for the Niners, I hated him. But that moment just, fuck.
Hey man, Crabtree, that's who.
That's, yeah. Again, he called like, they keep speaking on me. Richard, who's talking about you? Crabtree. I'm like, oh my god. And just the fact that he tipped the ball right into. And again, it was, and I wanted to beat those guys so bad in Seattle. Cam Chancellor, Michael Bennett. I mean, Bobby Wagner, like all those guys. Those were like the real Legion of Doom, Injustice League villains to me. Those guys, everyone on that Seattle team. So,
bruh, and then that's the time when Michael Crabtree was just getting his tenure in the NFL. He was just getting punked around. I remember Akeem Talib.
That was like years later on the Raiders. Yeah, like the next.
I'm gonna take a chain too.
Yeah.
Like, damn, bro, why you got so much heat with people?
I don't want to say maybe because he thought so highly, like my shit don't stink, but like you weren't even that good to carry yourself like that. Like he never had numbers. Because famously, Vernon Davis and Anquan Bolden were the best receivers on those teams statistically. And I think that's why he like spoke negatively about Kaepernick, is like because he wasn't Kaepernick's favorite target. I'm like, well, maybe if you fucking got open like those two guys, you would be.
That part.
He was, again, a great college player and a great combine guy in terms of his measurables and look, but on paper versus actual eye test, one was a failure, one was a success. He was whatever wide receiver should be, and he never turned into that. But we'll finish up with the last kind of few topics on the go home segment. You're a boxing fan. Is Devin Haney gonna give Ryan Garcia a worse beat down than Tank Davis did, or is this gonna be an actual fight in your opinion?
This is the actual WWE match. That's all it is. Just like the match we got coming up with Colano versus Errol Spence. Everything is wrestling, brother. It's Bob Arum getting some money, and it's everybody else is figuring it out. That's all it is. This is why the business is in the shape that it's in today, because of bullshit just like this, man. Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney, it's like, all right, cool. Eventually, they was gonna have to fight because the weight class and the titles, but
and their name recognition. But that's the only reason they're fighting now is because they're draws, right?
yeah, by default. Not saying that they're not good fighters. I like Devin Haney, but this ain't a real boxing match, man. Like Ryan is. Don't get me wrong, he's skilled, but he's talented, but he ain't skilled. Let's just say that. He has no defense. He has no punching power. He's just a combination fighter. He's a pretty boy, and I say that because the way his antics are. This is just a wrestling fight, man. It's a good payday because that's all boxing is now. It's just it's more so like I won't say being an indie worker. It's more so just like clocking into a job. We just here just to get paid, and we gonna head out. And nobody's gonna fight each other for a while, and then we'll eventually set up a fight. Then it's gonna be excuses like it is for Errol Spence. That's Keeks man, and I told her years ago what was gonna happen between him and Terrence Crawford prior to last year, and then he got in and he got dismantled. He just, he ain't got it no more. And I like Errol Spence. I think he's a solid fighter, but going against Colano, this is really just bending the knee one-on-one in boxing. It's Colano, and then it's a Bob Arum guy for being Errol Spence. Guess who's going to take the L? And then they're going to have Errol Spence run it again with Terrence Crawford get dismantled. Then they're going to say his eye hurt again, or he going to say his arm hurt again, or he going to say I got hit with a Hennessy bottle. I don't know. But, yeah, I'll watch, but okay, this is why that Paul boy is running it up in boxing because the antics.
Well, not anymore. Again, that's run its course. Yeah, but he was. I agree with what you just said. As someone who's not a complete boxing novice, but I don't follow boxing like you. But the fights I did watch last year were Tank versus Ryan, Devin versus Lomachenko, Crawford versus Spence, and I watched the first Canelo fight he had last year, the one in the stadium where he had the dope entrance. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like I think everyone knew Tank was the better fighter, and I had said that too. But his knockout power versus Ryan, so he said talent was going to win no matter what. That's what I mean. It's like this beatdown when like Devin Haney's a real skilled fighter. In my opinion, that fight with Lomachenko seemed like a draw. I don't know about you, just based on the way the fight.
It's always a draw with Lomachenko, just because he tricked people.
Yeah, it seemed like he started slow, but then went at the end. That's why I was like, maybe it's a draw. But I know the judges ruled it way more in favor for Devin Haney, even though it didn't seem that lopsided at all.
One of the most overrated, I won't even say overrated, that'd be disrespectful. But Lomachenko, listen, they really set him up. He might be the ride back of pro boxing.
And I think it's what has always pissed me off about boxing, was why I never fully got into it, is like the built-in excuses, like you said, like, oh, I had an injury, or that like the clauses like Ryan Garcia had to do the rehydration clause, which I think is kind of, it's not cheating because you can get away with it, but I don't like, we got to pull tricks like that to make fights happen. Underhanded tactics is what I should say. Like, just be a man and fight the guy straight up. Don't do this blood testing. And I get why Mayweather wanted to do that. But still, like, don't do, you can only rehydrate this and, catch weight or whatever. Like, just fight the guy clean, or don't fight at all. Like you said, like, you're either running from the grind or you're going to fight the guy straight up. But no, I think it's going to be a worse beatdown, like I said, because he's just a much more skilled fighter. Maybe that'll be more embarrassing, like Crawford did Spence. Like the talent, even though Spence probably has way more talent than Ryan Garcia does. But like I said, Ryan Garcia he's a poster boy, a pretty boy, and he's got the system behind him because he has looks and he can draw. But at some point, that's your skill can only get you big time fights, and then I think this is probably the last big time fight, or maybe one more if he can have a big win after this. But like I said, boxing's all about delaying matchups like Shakur versus Devin or Tank versus Devin. That's the other reason I don't like boxing, is that all the politics of it all, it doesn't give you fights you want. UFC does a better job of trying to give you fights you want, or they did back in the day, I should say, until they started forcing guys to fight each other just for the sake of stripping them of their belts. But still,
right. I do like how they set up, big prize fights. They just don't pay you with prize money. They pay you in Bitcoin.
Yeah, and the last thing, the NBA All-Star Weekend.
Let me get on camera for this.
Yeah, speak on what was the worst
everything
night, the first moment of a night that had a lot of terrible moments? What was the worst?
I'm sick of this NBA. I told y'all years ago, Adam Silver be tricking people. I'm tired of this old, and I was about to say something. Wow, I'm tired of this old. Let's hold hands stuff. I like the WNBA,
Kumbaya.
but come on, bro. I love the WNBA, but come on, man. This ain't helping them out. This is not helping them out by seeing one of the star players who made it to the finals get cooked by the greatest shooter of all time. Like, come on,
all right,
bro.
first of all, she didn't get cooked. Again, she had as many points as the guys did to get to the finals as the men's 3-point.
Key. But that also tells you how bad the NBA is. Yeah, she could shoot. She's basically the Steph Curry of the WNBA. But come on, bro. Like, let's cut the bullshit out. We see what it is. I don't understand how this benefits the WNBA by having one of the greatest players, top 15 players of all time, go against her. I don't see how that benefits it. It's the Seth Rollins thing. You kind of making us look weak out here.
She lost by 3. She didn't get blown out. She just lost by 3.
It don't matter. Why are you putting her against them, knowing that she don't have a chance, and you know she was going to lose? Because, again, you put a top 15, top 20 player against her, probably top 15 by default, a generational player that changed the game. Why are you doing that? You could have put her against Draymond Green. Come on, bro. Somebody who can't really shoot the 3.
Now it's really you're putting it on a spectrum of like she has to face the worst guy in 3-point shooting. That's even worse.
Still a Hall of Famer. It ain't this Hall of Famer though.
I don't view it that way. I think she did a great job of holding her own because again she shot better than shot better than Donovan Mitchell, Laurie Markkinen, Malik Beasley. She shot better than those guys. I'm sure she got to use her ball. My thing is that each of them should have had a rack of the other's type. Like she should have shot a NBA ball. He should have shot a WNBA ball. I don't know if that would have been easier for him. I just know that their ball is.
Bro, that's like having a Nerf ball shooting into the hoop.
But I only wanted to switch up like that just because it would have added some variety to it because she was shooting from their 3-point line. But I think it worked. It was a success for me. And I know Kenny Smith I didn't have the commentary on because I don't listen to commentary. Like he made an ass of himself, which isn't a surprise. But can Kenny Smith do what she did?
No, not with the busted knee. No, Kenny in a different.
Did he do it back then?
To a certain degree, yeah, because he's an NBA player, bro. And it's not to denigrate the product that's the WNBA, because I watched the WNBA and I have since I was a jit. It's just these dudes on a whole nother level. I mean, that was more entertaining than that 3-point contest. Dude, listen. That shouldn't be the main event by default because of dunk contest. I'm not going to sit up here and talk about the dunk contest. It's already been buried.
Very well.
Well, I mean, I ain't got nothing else to really say except for it's done. It's nothing else you can really do. I've seen people throw out ideas for 10 years now. Oh, we should have G League players in here. They're not going to do that. They
do have G League. Two of the guys are G League players. No, isn't the Toppin brother a G League guy, basically?
Nah, he on the Knicks.
Yeah, but doesn't he go back and forth between the teams?
I don't know. I forgot he even had a brother because I forget about Obi. I don't care he on the Pacers. Cool. You got sent to the Pacers because
Obi,
you Coach
you get
Tibbs.
slapped by Moby.
Why do I keep hearing these Obi Trice references in the past week? That's weird. I hope Obi Trice is good. Anyhow, there's been a lot of Obi Trice references. Not going wood, he's cool. Pause. But no, it's just you got one. I'm jumping all over the place, but that's how I do this. I'm professional. You got one G League player who should be on the team because, shit, he played better than most of the regular players. Hell, he can go to the fucking Hornets right now and probably get y'all 20 points because they got a bunch of young bums on there. And then the 3-point contest should be the main event because by default, that's the game now. Everybody want to come out and shoot. That's it. That's the new dunk. Essentially, the NBA, without the effort, is the 1960s right now because everybody just shooting in the 70s. But at least in the 70s, you got the great Dr. J who's there. Most of these young punks don't even probably care who Dr. J is. They too busy worrying about who the fuck Forever 21 designer is because that's how all they of them dress.
Okay, here you go.
Or Margiela, or whatever the fuck they wear. Dude, it's just the game is dead, all right?
Back in my day.
Back in my day, people actually showed effort.
Layups. You finger rolled when you did a layup. You did it like a man.
No, you would dunk like fucking Godzilla. That's what you would do. And I ain't gonna say King Kong because it's Black History Month and that's racist. You would dunk with some fucking effort. All right? And I'm not even talking about the dunk contest. When you dunking, you putting your soul into that. You fucking grabbing the rim. We don't even have that anymore. All these motherfuckers just light skinned and pretty.
No, they
And
do
that's
get mad
it.
when guys will hang on to the rim and then they're like, can't do that. That's again, they do the NFL like
You're
they take the
making
fun out of
$100
it.
million a year. Go ahead, take that L.
I
Go
think
ahead, take
that's
that
what
L.
guys are doing, yeah.
No,
It's me
they
that
taking $100 million and they buying jets and fucking dressing up.
So would you.
No, the fuck I wouldn't, even if I was their age.
All right.
They ain't got no heart, bro. The NBA, look, I said it to Dot. I'll say it to everybody else that's here. When LeBron and KD retire, I'm probably done with the NBA, bro. I don't care about the new blood.
You don't believe the new faces.
Hell no, the NBA is fucking good. No, there's ruthless aggression. This the Nexus.
You think? Oh, so this is the reality era guys. Luka,
by far. Come on, bro.
Jason Tatum.
No,
Anthony Edwards.
we the ruthless aggression era. Ironically, was LeBron, Kevin Durant,
and KD. I mean Kevin Durant and stuff.
Yeah, that's the ruthless era for sure. Because it's like, all right, it ain't a golden era, but you got some new stars here that's gonna be legends. Look to where we are now.
The dunk contests. Mac McClung wins by doing the same dunk, and that's why he went. That's what pisses me off. Funny enough, I hate on the white guy for winning, but that's how bad everyone else is, that he just does the same dunk with, ironically, a little seasoning on it. Like, it's always up. He's throwing it behind the back of his head type of dunk. He's always like just rocking it back. And just over people, or with that one where he dropped it and then caught it back up was great. That should have been the best dunk of the night, but they didn't rate it properly because Jaylen Brown did the least, and they gave him the best scores, which was just insane. The irony was he had Kai Cenat out there. Kai Cenat was Nike'd up, and Jaylen Brown, with his very anti-Nike stance, has him as part of his act. So again, it just shows the hypocrisy of this man and all he does as a activist. I just that's what pissed me off.
Hey, Kai Cenat, the same size is the same height as your kids, bro. And
my kid, what kid?
Not to put all your business out there, you know what I'm talking about. I just had to phrase
He's the same size as Wee Man.
No, Wee Man at least scoop slam fucking Sami Zayn. He gave us a classic fucking match. All right, bruh. There's no way you're going to impress me by jumping over a 5'3" hobbit, bro.
On a chair, sitting down on a chair. Yeah,
you're not going to impress me because you jumped over somebody from the Bronx. You can do that all the time because half of them is on fentanyl anyway. Just go to the Bronx and jump over them. Chair, fucking against the wall, standing up. You can still dunk over somebody in the Bronx. The average size of people from New York is fucking 4'11" anyway. But I digress, bruh.
That's why I ain't scared of Van. I told Van I'm sick kicking him as soon as I see him.
That's crazy. You ain't got any. I don't. Everybody else you pick Uncle Van. Okay, you pick Professor X with an afro. That's crazy. Anyhow, it's somebody else you could super kick from New York, but we don't need to talk about that right now.
Hey, don't do Manny like that.
No, nobody's gonna harm Manny. I'll kill somebody if they try to harm Manny.
Manny will catch me like Brock Lesnar.
I've been mid hands, yeah. I ain't got to worry about somebody hurt Manny. Yeah, but got the hands of goddamn 1930s boxing with the hair on it, bruh. I thought it was it's Pat Patterson throwing the hand at you, and I'm talking about the cloak. Well, you don't want that either. Anyhow. I don't know what else to say, bro. It's fucking done.
Jaylen Brown does his homage to Indianapolis, Indiana native Michael Jackson. He puts the glove on and dunks. It's like whoopee.
Hey, bro, Mike. The family got to sue him. Like, bro, we about to make a classic biopic, and you out here. It's not even close to Michael Jackson's birthday, his death anniversary. It's none. So why are you wearing a glove? Like, bro, I know he been dead for 15 years now, but
because he was in Indiana. That's why, where the man was from. That was his only reason. That's the only thing. And he's not. Jaylen Brown is not a creative guy.
This motherfucker should have dressed up like Freddie Gibbs. Then don't disrespect Mike.
Who do they say he already looks like?
They say Jermaine. First of all, he's Jermaine Jackson on that damn team anyway. Jason Tatum, the real Michael Jackson of that team.
Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. Come on, but still,
he not him and his fucking hair braider. He been having to look. You can get your hair braided, bro. I'm tired of this shit, bro. I'm tired of these motherfuckers just want to look pretty. I'm tired of bullshit style of play. Like, people by default, it's crazy to think because that fucking jabroni Doc Rivers is on the Bucks that the Celtics might get to the finals by default.
You think that's why he took the job? He's working as a sleeper agent?
That's fine. They was going to probably get there anyway, but now it's probably a lot for them to get there, and it's going to be the most uneffort to get to the finals ever. They just basically going to get there. It might be a 7-game series because either one of the teams going to be like, damn, we really got to show effort. Damn, I don't really want to do this. I don't want to do this. But somebody got to make it to the finals.
And I think that's why Mac McClung went back-to-back is because he shows effort, even though it's the same type of effort. It's not new effort. No one else tries. I mean, Jaime Jaquez Jr., he tried. Shout out to him. I know you laughed at his homage to the Hispanic community. I thought he was gonna dunk the ball with the hat. I thought he was like gonna.
I don't feel like getting cussed out today.
No, I thought he was gonna like put the ball up and do this, ball on the hat, and then dunk the hat with the ball. I'm like, is that why he's wearing a hat?
Somebody said he was gonna come up with a huge sombrero and dunk it from the free throw line.
It was.
First of all, shouts out to him, UCLA, LA alumni. I know he's definitely said nigga because he a Hispanic from LA. I'll say that. That would impress me after he dunked it. He would have said nigga. I'm like, I've heard this movie before. Not to me, but I've heard it before.
You just dunked it when like said it in front of everyone. Like,
this is full of rasa. That's what he could have did. If he would have did that, the Eddie Guerrero. If he would have did that, I would have been sold. I would have bought the jersey right now. What he said to Brock Lesnar, for my family homes, I was an addict.
Yeah.
I'm
addicted to wrestling. Yeah. You're not fighting the odds, Eddie. You're fighting me.
And you fighting the mic, Brock. Because you just lost to a promo. You lost a promo.
No way out commercial would play right before my WrestleMania 20 DVD. It was so good. It was so good, that promo, that commercial, because it was their promos from SmackDown of that week, and it was what does he say? Like, can you feel it? And then everyone's like, can you feel it? Essay, and I'm like, damn, like adrenaline in my fucking veins. Like
20 years since he won that title, bro. Time is flying. That was fucking 20 years ago this past week. Dog, time is an illusion. Fuck, they need to get Jordan out there, bro. They need to get some old, just fucking put a clone.
You want to see old timers dunk?
Why not? They're going to blow their whole ACL. They might have a heart attack, but cool. Where David Thompson at? Get Skywalker, bro. Just give him some crack. He'll be ready to go. Spud Webb, bro. Get him. It's Jason Richardson.
You want to have? Okay, all right. What else? I think that's it. I think that's it for this week.
You didn't know about David Thompson? I love the Skywalker, but it's the reason why they call him
David Thompson. He was one of the all-time leading scorers in terms of like a single season. Him and George Gervin had that battle back in the day.
Oh, this man actually knows hoops. That's when they played basketball.
Denver Nuggets. Come on. The Skywalker.
Yeah, and that's ABA Denver Nuggets too.
But
how many teams in the league right now from the ABA? Quick trivia question.
It has to be Denver, San Antonio, the Nets, and was it the Pacers?
That 3 is good enough. I think it was.
I'm trying to remember because it was also
Jazz. New Orleans Jazz, and then they became Utah, which is still fucking weird. Shouts out to people tweeting. That is one of the funny things that happened on Friday. The Rock, they said he burned in Maxwell. How he talking about in Utah?
But we'll be back next week. Elimination Chamber is next Saturday. We might talk about that, depending on how it goes, along with some other news. Again, we'll be talking about the movies I watched this month. Players Club was one of them. So we'll kind of deep dive into that and some of the other movies I watch. And can't think of anything else except next Saturday is my birthday.
That's the real Elimination Chamber. Oh, yeah. Again, y'all say happy birthday to Davis, man.
But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. It was a shitty week. That Super Bowl loss really kicked me in the nuts to start my week. Are we forgetting anything else? I mean, you are excited. Those Michael Jackson set photos keep coming out, and you are as hyped as I get about set photos. I don't think this movie is going to be good, but I'm glad to see you excited about something for once versus me always being the one excited.
I'm not excited. I'm just telling you what it is going to be. It's going to be great.
I tell you, it's not going to be good. I'm telling
you.
All
right. We'll be here next year to talk about it. Well, after
I ain't seeing that. Yeah, I ain't giving that shit my money. Yeah, I was right. See what Jermaine just said. That Nuggets, Pacers, Nets, and Spurs.
You helped him out. Yeah, you got it right, Jermaine.
And I think I know it mainly because of semi-pro, because that's what he says. And then when Jackie's like, "What about my team?" He's like, "It's like, what if we win and we get in?"
I just know from NBA Street too. That's how I learned.
Yeah. But Dan, do you have anything to recommend this week? Anything to check out? Anything to plug?
No, not really. The only thing I can say right now is I'll be watching Raw because the NBA is on break anyway. And besides that, they actually got a good card. They in Anaheim. I wish I was there, but otherwise than that, no, that's it. I'm like, shit, when the last time they been to Anaheim? I remember it was Arrowhead Pond. I don't know what it is now.
It's a Toyota Center, isn't it?
I think so.
I mean, a Honda Center.
I'm from the old school. I remember Arrowhead Pond, bro, where they had WrestleMania 2000.
Nah, where they had the Mighty Ducks come out the center of the ice to go fight crime at night.
That as well.
Yeah, I mean, I did Maps and Graps. Shout out to Lyric.
Oh yeah, I got the list.
I was on that this past week. We talked about New Japan. Did you watch the Danielson Zack Sabre Jr. match?
I haven't watched it yet. It was on Collision.
No, the match that Zack Sabre Jr. Danielson had on New Japan at the New Beginning show.
No, I gotta watch that. I'll probably do that when we're done. And I gotta watch Collision. So thank you for reminding me.
That's right. No, because I had to tell her that you once said Pete Dunne was better than Zack Sabre Jr. as a technical wrestler. Which, don't forget, you did say that.
That's fine. If she ever invite me on, yeah, we're gonna talk.
But that was a great episode. Shout out to her. She also had an interview with Athena and Kevin Knight this week. Interviews, I should say, multiple. So check that out. Maps and Graps on YouTube. Anything to recommend? I watched all of the Vince Staples show on Netflix. It was good. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit next week. I will, I should say. I know you're not going to check it out at all. But other than that, no, I don't have anything else to recommend or plug. Just thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back next week, either Saturday or Sunday. Like, subscribe, share, all of that. I'm trying to work on a special guest. Hopefully we'll have him on in the next month or so. Schedules aren't aligning up. We might try to get some other people that we've been wanting to get on for a while, like Earl. Maybe Cody and Eve too. I haven't talked to them in a while on a pod. So, but as always, thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next time.
Trying to get Jada Parker on the show. That's what I want.
That's it. Like, I mean, I hope this is the hater in me. This is the only time I hate. I hope she dates a white man, just so y'all can cry. That's the only time I turn into a super villain is for something like that.
I'll bleach my skin for it. Bitch, I'm Tom Cruise.
All right. Thank y'all.
Fuck.